A 100-foot gorilla scales the Empire State Building, beating his chest as biplanes circle overhead. It's one of cinema's most iconic images. But what if I told you that giant apes weren't just Hollywood fiction? They actually existed. The question is, could something like King Kong ever really walk the earth? Today, we're diving deep into the science of giant primates, separating Hollywood myth from prehistoric reality. Let's start with the legend itself. When King Kong first terrified audiences in 1933, he stood 18 feet tall in the original film, but over the decades, Kong has grown. In the 1976 remake, he reached 42 feet. By 2005, he was 25 feet, and in the recent MonsterVerse films, a staggering 104 feet tall.
But here's the thing, size matters in biology, and not in the way Hollywood wants you to think.
The filmmakers knew Kong had to be impressive, terrifying, and relatable.
They based his appearance and behavior on real gorillas, the chest beating, the protective instincts, even the surprising gentleness.
These are all real gorilla behaviors.
So if Hollywood borrowed so much from real apes, could nature have created its own King Kong?
The answer is fascinating, and it starts 300,000 years ago in the forests of Asia.
Meet Gigantopithecus blacki, the largest primate that ever lived.
And when I say large, I mean absolutely massive.
Based on fossilized teeth and jawbones discovered in China and Southeast Asia, scientists estimate Gigantopithecus stood between 9 and 10 feet tall and weighed up to 600 pounds, possibly even 700 pounds. That's 3 times heavier than a modern silverback gorilla. But here's where it gets really interesting. We don't have a complete skeleton. Everything we know comes from teeth and jaw fragments found in Chinese apothecaries.
The jaw structure suggests incredible bite force, an animal that could crack open bamboo like we crack peanuts.
Its teeth show wear patterns consistent with eating bamboo, fruits, and seeds.
Unlike Hollywood's King Kong, Gigantopithecus was likely a peaceful herbivore.
The jaw structure and skull fragments suggest it was probably a knuckle walker, like modern gorillas.
Gigantopithecus thrived for nearly 9 million years before going extinct around 300,000 years ago. Why did it disappear? Climate change played a major role.
As forests shrank and were replaced by grasslands, Gigantopithecus lost its food source. And here's a mind-bending fact. Gigantopithecus overlapped with early humans. Our ancestors may have encountered these giants in the wild. Imagine being an early human coming face to face with a 10-foot ape.
That's the stuff of legends, and maybe that's where some of our monster myths began.
Without limb bones, we're making educated guesses.
This one's a new species, I think.
We're still discovering new things about extinct primates every year. Let's get this section mapped.
Now let's talk about the real-life inspiration for Kong, the mountain gorilla. An adult male silverback gorilla stands about 5.5 to 6 feet tall when upright, not exactly towering. But don't let that fool you. These animals weigh between 300 to 430 pounds of pure muscle. A silverback is estimated to be 6 to 15 times stronger than an adult human.
Let me put that in perspective. A silverback can lift or throw roughly 1,800 pounds.
That's like picking up a small car. They can bend and snap thick bamboo stalks with ease. Their bite force? Around 1,300 psi, enough to crush a crocodile skull.
But what really makes gorillas remarkable isn't their strength, it's their intelligence and emotional complexity.
Gorillas use tools, communicate through dozens of vocalizations, show empathy, grieve their dead. The famous chest beating display? It's usually a warning to back off, not an invitation to fight. A silverback would much rather intimidate a threat away than actually engage in combat.
Today, mountain gorillas are critically endangered.
Family group located. Maintaining distance. Copy. Keep eyes on the silverback.
Fewer than 1,100 remain in the wild. The real tragedy isn't that King Kong fell from the Empire State Building, it's that we're letting real gorillas disappear.
Okay, so we've established that giant apes existed, but could something the size of King Kong actually function? Let's talk about the square cube law. Here's how it works. When you double an animal's height, its volume increases by 8 times. But the cross-sectional area of bones and muscles only increases by 4 times. You get 8 times heavier, but your bones only get 4 times stronger.
And it's why the largest land animals in Earth's history had massive, thick legs and spent most of their time eating.
A 100-foot King Kong would weigh somewhere between 20,000 and 90,000 tons. His legs would need to be absurdly thick just to support that weight.
But the real killer is the cardiovascular system. Kong's heart would need to pump blood 100 feet upward to reach his brain. Then there's temperature. Large animals struggle with heat. An elephant already has problems, now imagine something 50 times larger.
Kong would overheat within minutes of any physical activity. And that iconic scene of Kong climbing the Empire State Building? Impossible.
The building is 1,454 feet tall. Kong would need hands supporting his entire 20,000-ton body with each grip. The building's facade would crumble.
True, but they're supported by water.
On land, gravity is unforgiving. The largest land animals in history, the titanosaurs, topped out around 80 tons.
Look how high that neck goes. It's unbelievable.
80 tons. That's like 10 elephants.
And they had specialized adaptations we don't see in primates.
So what's the realistic upper limit for a land-based primate? Based on Gigantopithecus, probably around 10 feet tall and 600 to 700 pounds.
The physics just don't work.
So if King Kong is scientifically impossible, why do we keep returning to the story? Why has this giant ape captured our imagination for nearly a century? I think it's because Kong represents something primal, nature's raw power.
He's also a tragic figure, misunderstood, captured, exploited, and destroyed by the civilization that feared him. Maybe that's why the myth endures. Every generation needs to grapple with, what is our relationship with nature? So here's the truth. Giant apes were real. Gigantopithecus walked the earth for millions of years. But a 100-foot Kong climbing skyscrapers? That's pure fantasy. Beautiful, thrilling fantasy, but fantasy nonetheless. Nature doesn't need to be 100 feet tall to be awe-inspiring. It just needs to be protected. Thanks for watching.